Welcome to another episode of our VMware Lab Series. Today we're going to install our very first ISO image today. We'll do Windows 10, and later on, if we're lucky, if we've got some time, we'll also do Windows Server. Let's get straight into it. So I've got VMware up and running. Hopefully you've all got this one done as well. If not, we do have another video that you can watch and have a look later on. But I've got VMware Workstation up and running now and looking really good. It's perfect. Nothing here at the moment. So let's go grab some virtual machines. Now, I have already got a few copies of ISO images everywhere over years of collections. And I've even got a dedicated internal hard drive just for ISOs. So I have on my E drive, and I store all my ISOs here. I've got more, but just for this demonstration, I'm showing you a couple of the ones that we're going to use now. So we've got Windows 10. If I click on the folder, it shows that I have a Windows 10 image. If you need to know how to get a copy of Windows 10, let me know, and I can see if I can get one for you. Windows images are actually quite cheap now. There's various places where you can get them cheap, but legally as well. Reach out to me and I'll see if I can find you some really good copies of Windows 10 and Windows 19. This one is a consumer, it's a student edition. So if you've got a student account, if you're enrolled into a university or some sort of tertiary organization, you might be able to log on to your Azure account. They might have some free copies that you can use, but I've got one here and I'm going to set this one up first. So this is our Windows 10 ISO. So now I've got this up and running with Windows 10. And what an ISO is, it's I don't know if you remember it, but we used to have CDs and DVDs that we used to buy. We used to go to the shop. To an electronic shop or a computer shop back in the days when they were around. Here in Australia we had JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman. You'd go and buy a physical DVD or CD, and in the CD you'd insert it into the CD drive or DVD drive, and it would sometimes automatically run, or we'd have to go into the D drive, double click it, and then it would run the installation files. Now, in this scenario, we've got what we can do in this scenario is we've got our ISO files here. Now this ISO file, if we double click this, it behaves like what the old CD and DVDs used to behave like. There's a setup file. Now these days, no one has CDs or DVDs anymore. And if you wanted to install a fresh copy of Windows 10 or 11 on a physical computer, you would need a USB device, a USB drive of some type. And you would need some software that could convert that CD drive or that image, that ISO image, into a bootable USB drive. And one of the tools that you can use in the future, when you've got the time, is Rufus, and I've got one here and I'll show you what it looks like. And what you do is you convert this ISO, or you format your USB drive to be bootable off your computer. Once that's bootable, you insert the USB into your computer. It then runs off that, boots off that USB. Then you can perform installation. But we're talking about the physical hard drive of a physical computer. Now we're not doing that. We are just installing a virtual machine. So we don't need to do that. All we need to do is go into VMware, click on My Computer, go to File, New Virtual Machine, and just follow along. The installation is very similar across the different operating systems, but I'll show you what it looks like on the Windows 10. So I'm going to click on install a disk image file. I don't have a physical CD or DVD on this guy here. I do have one in my server window. But now I'm going to click on install a disk image, which is the ISO, and I'm going to locate. And and I'm going to try and find it in my ISO. Windows 10, there it is. And then I'll click on OK. Click on Next. This is the product key because I've got a student edition of this. I've got a code that I can use that I've copied here. Paste. Optional. I might. I'm just going to do. Windows 10 Lab. Actually, I'll just put my first name there. And password. I might as well. I'm going to put password exclamation mark. So this will automatically set up an account and a password when I'm installing Windows 10. Log on automatically? Yeah, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. On a home lab, this doesn't really matter. But in a production environment at work, it really does. So just be careful. I'm going to just type Windows 10 there. Now the location of where you install this is really important. I'm going to install it somewhere else. And I'm going to install it. I've got all this stuff here that I don't know about. Looks like I need a bit of a clean out, but really do need a clean out. Why don't I do this? I've got another folder where I want to put this stuff, virtual machine files. I've got a dedicated hard drive just for the virtual machine. So this is not the bootable ISO images. This is going to pretend to be like my hard drive where the Windows operating system will be installed onto. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I might call it Windows 10 hard drive. Doesn't really matter for now. And I might just right click and copy that location there and paste that there, and that should be working fine. Okay, maximum disk size 60 gig doesn't really matter on this one because we don't really want to use this virtual machine to do our stuff like our lab. We don't need a lot of hard drive, but if you do want to use this for other purposes, you want to use it as your production Windows 10 machine, then make this bigger, but I'm not going to on this one. Once I get to this stage, I'm going to click on Customize Hardware, and I've only got 2 gigs of RAM for Windows 10, which is not enough. It says it's recommended, but don't believe it. Go to 4. Unless you've got 8 gigs of RAM. If you only have 8 gigs of RAM, then you'll have to keep it down to 2 gigs. But I've got 32 gigs of RAM on my system, so 4 gigs it should be okay. You know, pushing it to 8 probably a good idea, but 4 is okay. I've got my network adapter. I have NAT. It's probably not a good idea to use NAT because it means that you'll be sharing the device that you're on's IP address. Not really good. To do that, you should do a bridged. So you don't share the IP address of your, in my situation, my real Windows 10 machine. I get my very own IP address. So I'll probably do that for now. In fact, it's even better idea to do host only, or host only is a good idea. It just means that it's going to be, I can only share resources with the host that I'm installing this on. Bridge is fine for now. Just remember, when you're not using your lab anymore, turn it off. That should be it. You can go to processes if you want to and make some changes to the number of processes. Should be okay like that. Should be fine. Click on OK. Finish. And then it will create a disk for you. If I go back over here, you can see that on the Windows hard drive there, it's creating some files. So this virtual machine is just a bunch of files. It's pretty much, that's all it is really. Okay, now it's loading. It's loading into Windows 10. We can even maximize this, expand it, go to view and full screen, and it's like a real Windows 10 kind of experience. well, it is a Windows 10 experience, but you don't even know that it's virtual. You're running in a virtualized environment. But I don't know, I'm used to just having the Windows 10 virtual machine like this. So we'll just wait for that to happen. I'll just press pause and I'll come back. Oh, actually, yeah, I'll come back in about, should take about 10 minutes. So pausing now. Okay, so we've done a couple of rotations through restarts and startups, and which is quite normal. We're getting to the stage where it's doing its final installation or final steps. Basically, we're almost there. There's a couple of steps that we have to do. I'm going to press pause again because this might take about 5 minutes or so. Okay, it looks like we've restarted one more time, and it took about 3 minutes, so probably should have just waited, but that's fine. Once you get here, it's a bit weird because you can't really, usually you can just double click. Oh, well, it's working fine now. Sometimes you have to, there's a Alt Control Delete over here. Let's see if I can zoom in. Should be able to zoom in now. Here we go. So just there, if you need to, but today looked like it worked okay. And that's a thing with these kind of technologies, is your experience might change on a day-to-day basis. Trust me, it happens. But double click here. Remember that username and password that I added at the very beginning? It's automatically set that up for me. So I'm going to just put that password. It was password exclamation mark, wasn't it? Yep. Not the best password in the world, but it will do for our lab. So we're doing really well. This is it. We are pretty much home now. Yes, you can select yes because that means you get networking. But just remember that, so now what you've got here is you have your virtual machine and you have your host as well. In fact, let me show you. I'll show you exactly what that would look like in terms, I'll graphically show that to you. And when I mean graphically, I mean draw it out for you so you can see what I'm doing here. So say you have your Windows 10 machine, and we'll give that a nice purple color. So this is your Windows 10. This is your physical machine. This is your laptop or your PC or your Mac if you've got one. And so this is, you got your RAM and your CPU and everything. In fact, why don't we add the RAM? Add some RAM there. We'll add this. This is our hardware, and within our hardware, we'll have some stuffs in there. My favorite word, stuff. So we'll put a little bit of RAM, and of course we'll need some sort of text. So this is our RAM. This is our memory. And we might do, let's see if we can do that together. Yep, copy, and we'll do it again. There's four things really. There's four main components of a computer. Every computer in the world has one, including your iPhone or Android phone. But we've got our CPU there, and we have our storage, your hard drive or SSD, and you have your networking. So this is the Windows 10 machine. This is your laptop. You open your laptop, press it. This is what we've got here. These four components, there's a lot of other stuff going on here, but these are the ones that we're interested in at the moment. So this is our host. So this is our host. I'm running a Windows 10 machine. Sorry, Windows 11 actually, Windows 11 machine upstairs. I've got a Mac OS that I use. That's the host machine as well. I also have a Windows 10 machine too that I play around with, and a Linux. I've even got a server which is bare metal, which does not have a host operating system on it. It's just got a little bit of software that allows me to have full control over the hardware. But that's a discussion for another time. So this is my Windows 11 machine. But if I just minimize that, there you go. It's right there. There it is. Hopefully you're not getting vertigo there. That's my Windows 10 machine. Windows 11 machine, sorry. And now this is VMware. This enables me to create a virtual machine that I get access to some of that hardware. Let me show you. So if I go back to this diagram, if I might grab a square this time, and inside the square, I'm going to write virtual machine. And I actually do have a Windows 10 machine this time, a VM. Okay. So what's happening here is that I've got VMware giving me access. If I can get this right, there we go. And this is VMware allowing me to, let me just make that a bit higher. So there's VMware, let's copy that. And below it is Windows 11. So this is Windows 11, this is operating system. So what VMware and Windows 11 are doing together is giving me the illusion, that's probably a good word for it actually, it's giving me the illusion that this here has access to the resources, the CPU and the RAM and the hardware, where I don't actually have that full control, but it looks like I do. What is actually happening here is that the virtual machine is getting, with the help of VMware and Windows 11, access to CPU, for example, access to the storage, access to the network. Now this is all virtualized. This is all virtualization here. It's not hardware, it's not physical network cables, it's not physical hardware, but there is an illusion. There is it's sort of like it's simulated. But as far as I'm concerned, when I jump in here, it feels and looks like a real operating system, and I've got storage, I've got RAM, I have everything. If I go to sysinfo, for example, sysinfo 32, it will think that it actually has hardware components. System summary, it tells me that I've got Windows 10 Education Edition. I've got a processor. Well, it thinks it has its own processor. It thinks it has its own BIOS. It thinks it has its own RAM down here. As far as this Windows 10 machine is concerned, it believes it's running directly on that system, which is not really the case. So that's a demonstration of a type 1 hypervisor. Okay, type 1 hypervisor. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Type 2 hypervisor. Okay, a type 1 hypervisor just gets rid of these two. A type 1 hypervisor doesn't have all that. It's just got a specialized. It has just a really small thin layer software, special software called a hypervisor that runs in there. That becomes a type 1 hypervisor there. Okay, hopefully that's been a bit of a lesson. Now that you know how to set up Windows 10, I've got another episode where we're going to start doing things to that Windows 10 machine, that virtualized Windows 10 virtual machine. I'm just virtualizing new English words at the moment. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.